face. I don't know if I have one of those or not. But I just want to talk about how crazy some stuff is. We'll wait till a few people get in here. Got a little bit of a drive today. My thinking cap goes on when I start driving. Let some people get in here. Ask some people if they watched the Super Bowl or the TPUSA halftime show. Talk about a little bit of both of those. We can talk about what I see wrong with both of them. Oh, this camera's going to be a little crazy for a minute. Don't have the best of roads. Hey, we got one person in there. So, since I got one person in here, I'm going to start talking about this. So, I seen a little video by Buddy Brown. I like Buddy Brown for the most part. He seems like a real cool guy. But it said people are boycotting Ring cameras because of a Super Bowl ad where this puppy dog goes missing and this little girl is sad, and Ring camera says, we can help. All we got to do is upload a description of that animal, and we'll turn on all the Ring cameras in your area and help you locate it. And then I guess people are boycotting Ring camera. Well, I would have never put a Ring camera on my house to begin with. If you didn't already know they were going to do that, hello, Justin. If you didn't already know that they were going to do that in the first place, then you might want to start re-evaluating things before you bring them into your house. You should not put spy software on your, I think it was probably about 2 years ago, they were saying that they were going to share that information with the police, your Ring camera. No, thank you. I don't need Big Brother watching me in any way, shape, or form. I really don't need that. But I thought it was funny that it was just kind of like a aha moment for millions of Americans that, holy cow, that Ring camera is watching me, and that they have the rights to view that remotely. I mean, it's just kind of interesting to me. Hello, Troy. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was, did you watch the Super Bowl? I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I didn't even know until the day after who was in the Super Bowl. And that comes from somebody who, you couldn't have had a bigger football fan. I love football. I love the sport. Specifically what I love about football is what it has to offer my children as a youth competitive sport. I like my kids to play football, but I just don't really get down with even college, but especially the NFL. And now, if I was to tune into a football game, I'd much prefer to tune into college. But yeah, I mean, what's the odds that, I don't know, but like the last time I did watch football, it was Seattle and the Patriots. And the Patriots won when that, I think his last name was Butler, intercepted that pass. And, you know, everybody thought that Marshawn Lynch was going to get the handoff. And then turn around, and now you had the Patriots and they know statistically what's going to get the most viewership, and what they do is they plan that out. They plan who's going to be in the Super Bowl. Well, they planned that and that dramatic ending the last time they met. So then they meet again, and Seattle gets its revenge. You know, it's like classic tribalism programming. Not a chance that I will watch any Super Bowl, and definitely won't be watching a halftime show. I agree with that. It's sad. I mean, like I said, I like football. I really do. And I want to watch it. I want to, but they've taken... I think it goes back to like Colin Kaepernick. Whenever he started doing the kneeling and stuff, I think I realized the entire reason I was watching professional sports was because I wanted, an hour and a half, 2 hours of no politics, right? I just wanted an hour and a half to 2 hours of just watching a game on TV, the highs and the lows of your team trying to win. And then when they started doing the kneeling and stuff, like, I don't even care if you agree or don't agree with all that. It just, to me, it had zero place in sports. And I was like, you know what? I can get politics anywhere, anytime. I can pick up my phone, turn the TV on, turn my computer on, and I can get politics anytime. If this is what competitive sports is going to turn into, then, well, I say competitive. It's an they're registered as an entertainment organization. But you got to remember, this is before I realized that what I believe is that it's rigged. It's my opinion. It may not be a fact, but it certainly is to some extent. Are the outcomes fully controlled? I don't know. I think that'd be pretty hard. I think that there's probably certain characters that are privy to the rigging and then certain ones that aren't. But yeah. So also, not only with the Super Bowl, did anybody else notice that we had the TPUSA halftime show? And if you're not aware of this with TPUSA, there's a lot of strange things going on. I mean, for starters, Erica Kirk, his wife, you'd have to go fact check me on the timeline, but I believe it was just before or maybe just after Charlie was unalived that her ex-boyfriend was hired on to TPUSA. Yeah, that's my sentiments also. But she was hired on to he was hired on to TPUSA, and he has a tattoo. Now this is true. He has a tattoo on the inside of his lip of a slice of pizza. Now, if you go back to the John Podesta emails, and if you know who Alex Jones is, and you'd know what I'm talking about, especially because the guy got driven into like I would say a psychosis, because he was telling people about John Podesta and these emails, and this is even worse than the Epstein files, or worse than what has been released in the Epstein files, I should say. We ain't getting everything. We ain't going to get the top players and all that. We're not ever going to get that. And if we do, awesome. I hope they get punished. But then again, they'll just get an interview and they won't ever get punished either. But this John Podesta guy and Huma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's aide, and oh my gosh, and just Barack Obama and all of them, it was just the most disgusting stuff. And cheese pizza was a terminology for prepubescent boys. And Erica Kirk's ex-boyfriend has that pizza tattoo on his lip. Kind of provocative and weird for a Christian organization, even if it doesn't mean what pizza means according to the FBI. And this is the other thing. Half of Erica Kirk's family they wear the little tiny hats on their head. I can't even really say it because my stream's already being pushed down in the algorithm. But the other half of Erica's family wears those little hats and is very close with BB in Israel, if you know what I'm saying. But anyways, what I was going to get at was, don't get me wrong, like my worldly nature loves me some Kid Rock music. But is it becoming of a Christian organization? And then you're going to say, he who's without sin cast the first stone. And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is also on the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said, those who proclaim to be prophets and teachers, you'll know them by their fruits. So what I'm getting at is, could Kid Rock legitimately become a born-again Christian? Yes, he could. But has he shown the fruits? Or does one halftime show that is aimed at polarizing and politicizing even further the NFL? And does that prove, because he says Jesus one time, does that prove that he's born again? Or Jelly Roll, does that prove that he's born again? Or Nicki Minaj, because she teams up with, oh my gosh, don't get me started on Nicki Minaj and TPUSA. That is, you cannot be a representative of Christianity without fruits. You just can't. We'll see you, Justin. But yeah, I mean, I wish that I thought TPUSA had good intentions, but when we've been just completely lied to, his chief of staff is just on the phone when Charlie gets, and just, oh, that's interesting, and then walks away on the phone. When they told me at 306, just in 200 yards or so. Guys, I've shot deer quartering away, which is about quartering hard, which is about 15 to 20 times the amount of bone and flesh and organs than that is in your neck, and had it blow out the other side with a 150 grain bullet, which is average, maybe even smaller than average for bullet weights that you would use. So even the most frangible bullet would have been just totally devastating. It would have been the most gore that the average person has ever seen in their entire life. That blood would have been nothing. So when they lie about so much stuff, you gotta say, what's the game plan here? If you guys would just double tap that screen and like it, maybe the algorithms won't stuff me down so far. But if there's so much wrong with TPUSA, what is their game plan? What is the psyop? And what I honestly believe is they want you to participate in politics like it is your religion, like it is what you worship. They are blending. They are overstepping the boundary of your faith and politics. They are blurring the difference in the line between the two. More than an antichrist spirit, and they're misleading people's spiritual direction and what they should be focused on. I'm trying to Thunder Shaman. I think that's a new one for me. But yeah, I don't trust any politician. I don't trust Trump. I don't. If I was still doing the lesser of the two evils, all day long, I would say Trump is less evil than Kamala Harris, but there's no such thing. Once you really come to the conclusion that the lesser of two evils is still evil, I was messing with a friend of mine that works at another scale company. But yeah, once you realize that the lesser of two evils is still evil, then it doesn't matter to participate anymore, in my opinion. In fact, whenever I go through judgment and they're like, why did you go along with that? Or God, whenever Yahweh says, why did you go along? Why did you participate? And why did you fuel that system? If you found no fruits in that system other than your own personal satisfaction and greed, why did you participate? And why did you keep feeding the system? Why didn't you just say, I'm not of that world, and walk away from it? Which degree did I? Actually, I've got 2 college degrees. I got 2 associates. Do I support ice? I do like ice in my tea, but if the tea is too hot, it melts the ice and waters it down. That I don't like. You know, when you go and you get tea at a drive-through and they hand you a cup and it's still warm and you can just barely hear the ice in there. I don't like that kind of ice. I like my tea cold with ice in it. I mean, and then when you look at organizations like ICE, first of all, it is the law of the land, right? So you're commanded to follow the law of the land. That is, unless that law violates your God-given rights. So that law, there's nothing wrong with that. People who are from another country, if they come in here undocumented, if they don't want to pay for their visas, and they don't want to go through the documentation and the thousands of dollars it takes in the testing, the learning the language and the testing and stuff to become a citizen, they have broke the law. And most of these people have broke the law beyond that. So most of these people, some of them are here on visas, but they go out and have drunk driving and commit manslaughter or severely maim people. Some of them rape, some of them steal. I'm not saying every immigrant does that. I'm not a fool. But some of them have done that, and those are the ones particularly most often that they're looking for, that people are blowing whistles in their face about. So in that aspect, they ought to obey the law of the land, because there's nothing unrighteous about those specific laws. Now, when the time comes when they tell me the law of the land is I got to deny the Messiah, and I have to worship the false Messiah that they're going to put in place in the third temple, when that time comes, you are not to follow those laws because they're not righteous. But when it comes to ice and my tea, I tend to agree with it more than not. So Jennifer, on that ring cam, I've been telling people this for a couple years. Man, that's pretty creepy to have Big Brother able to just hack into a camera. So this is where I'm at. Is we're in the age of a truth is told as a lie and a lie is told as a truth. When we're entering that age, and we're going to be persecuted for truths and glorified for lies,
What do you think they're going to be able to do with Big Brother when they can monitor your Ring camera when they do the smarts? That's a great way it could apply, is smart cities, 15-minute cities, where they want you to stay inside of 15 minutes of your residence, and you'll have everything there, and you got to go to the government for permission to leave. How are they going to know you're leaving? Well, because everybody's got a Ring cam, and they can watch you and track you. They can just track you right through the city. And it's like as soon as you get over the target, the bots just come in like crazy. But what else was I going to talk about? I'm just really excited that most of the people were on the same page as me with TPUSA. And let's talk specifically about. All I've seen of the halftime show was something on Telegram a friend sent me, but that Bad Bunny dude, I don't know where he's from, South America or something, or an island or something, Dominican Republic or something. But anyways, so he says, God bless the Americas. Now, let me tell you why I do find that to be a problem, but I'm not going to like react in a triggered way. Like, I'm going to run over to TPUSA. See, that's what they have designed that to do, is when he says God bless the Americas, to polarize that and make you go run directly into the hands of TPUSA. It's like either you're going to be a communist, open borders, social reject, for lack of better words, or you're going to run into the arms of TPUSA. But when he did say that, I just wish the wickedness on the conservative side was that obvious. See, when he says God bless the Americas and rattles off all the other stupid names of countries and stuff, I just wish that the evil, wicked tactics of the right were as obvious as that, so that it would be more clear to, I would say, the majority of the people. But the right is way more calculated, because they want everything to be palatable enough that you go, okay, that extreme on the left is so vile that the majority of the people will side with the right, despite there being many, many flaws within it. And I will be the first to admit, for years I fell for the left-right paradigm. Yeah, the vertical live brings them in here. I don't even know how to do any other live format. I'm not that savvy, I guess. But I guess what I want for people that might watch this is to step back from politics and like try not to get so triggered by the left, or do this. Like it's like I was really annoyed whenever he said God bless the Americas, and there's nothing inherently wrong with him saying that, except for, you were at a Super Bowl, you're at a big main event that's central to the United States, and that you're doing it to stir up and cause chaos. That is what's annoying. But what I want people to do is it's pretty simple to figure out these psyops by saying, okay, what is the polar opposite of this? This thing that annoys me that this guy says, what is the polar opposite? And say, when a big event like TPUSA is going on, say, well, what is the coincidence that we've got two major polarizing events going on at once. And if you only look at the skin layer, the surface layer, why does the one seem to be good? And let me dig into the one that seems to be good. Let me try to find something wrong with it. Well, Jennifer, I think the reason, like I said, that he did that was just to push, the majority of America right into TPUSA. It's designed. What are the odds that the Holly weirds like Kid Rock and I don't even know who the other country singers were. Don't know a single one of their names. Heard some of their music, I guess, in passing, but what are the odds that these super high up Holly weird musicians headline for TPUSA, and then they have headliners for the Super Bowl? Like, oh, we're not all driven and connected by the same powers that be. We weren't all created by the same people that made Kid Rock famous. The same people. Actually, I bet you if you use ChatGPT, let's see. I'm gonna just use Google. I don't have, it's my work phone. Who made Kid Rock's first big label? Jive Records.
In 1990, while he later moved on, Jive Records gave him that initial big label push.
Who has been Kid Rock's biggest label since he's been in the business? Atlantic Records has been his biggest. Warner Bros. Records. We'll just go off Atlantic and Warner Bros. Because I never heard of the other two. Who is Bad Bunny's biggest?
Bad Bunny, whose real name is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, is a Grammy-winning singer, rapper.
Who is Bad Bunny's?
He's known as the king of...
Oh my gosh.
Bad Bunny, whose real name is...
piece of crap. Who is Bad Bunny's biggest record?
As of February 2026,
oh my God.
Bad Bunny's biggest record is his Super Bowl halftime...
Biggest record label. Remus Entertainment, independent structure. I'm surprised they don't have any connection. Well, you'd have to dig into them further. So you'd have to say, is Remus Entertainment connected to, and you'd probably find that Remus and Atlantic and all of them are connected to each other. Yeah, you're hiring agents for ICE. How much does a ICE salesman make? I need an ICE salesman that can sell me a bag of ice for less than $5. The cost of ice is getting way too expensive. Dude, I literally have a guy in here called Google account. They're not even hiding their bots now. But I mean, you go look at all these musicians, and all these record labels are pretty much all the same thing. So you're just getting a different flavor of the same thing. TPUSA or Bad Bunny. And like the Christians will be upset. Bad Bunny said he was going to wear a dress. I'm a Christian and I'm upset. And then Kid Rock will be running around with bunches of topless women and hot tubs and just making foul music. And they'll be like, hell yeah, I'm a Christian. I can get down with this, but I can't get down with a man wearing a dress. What do you... I'm sorry, but if And I get it. I get it. Kid Rock's music sounds a lot better. It sounds good to the ears. But when you're talking about a supposed Christian organization frontlining musicians that's supposed to one up the dress wear, how is that any better? Yep, Jennifer, that's exactly right. Once you sign with a record label, they own you. They get you, what they do is they get you addicted to drugs, they get you addicted to fancy homes, fancy cars. They get you, the record label buddies up with you, they give you a few $1 million, and they say, what you need you a collection of cars. You need 3 or 4 houses. And then once you get all that, they say, okay, you're going to lose all that if you don't write this song. If you don't get gayed out in this song or whatever, if you don't post pictures, that's the marketing. You're Kid Rock. You got to post these pictures of topless women in a hot tub because you're Kid Rock and that's your brand and we own you and you're going to do that. So, yeah, that's a record label in a nutshell. But anyways, like I said, just dig into the powers that be and the strings that are pulled that lead to such devastating polarization. With a country as divided as it is now, it's not a coincidence. It's very intentional. And perhaps if we could agree on like one thing, that you can't kill babies, and pretty much that's it. I think that most rational liberals would even agree to that. I think we could get along a lot better and actually do something about these weirdos that own private ranches that are breeding supreme races of beings and doing biogenetic research and working on pandemic planning at those same ranches. If we could agree on you can't kill babies, I think we could agree on a whole lot more. Yep, that's right. That's exactly what they do. They get them in so much debt, and that's why you'll see a bunch of them commit suicide. There's no once they feel, and the sad thing is there is turning around. You can be poor again, or you can be modest. You can step in, take control, become modest with your spending, and reject the labels. Some of the labels will just get rid of you, like Prince, Michael Jackson. Some of them, Tupac, some of them will just get rid of you once you're not useful anymore. But that would be better than, well, maybe some of the suicides are, oh, I said suicide. Now my stream's going to get totally throttled. But maybe some of those aren't really suicides. Well, actually, so I know there's a pretty connected to the John Podesta thing. The guy from Breaking Benjamin and the guy from Soundgarden that supposedly offed himself. But anyways, those two guys were actually working together to try to expose some of this stuff that's worse than the Epstein stuff. And both of them were self-unalived, supposedly, in the middle of working for that. And it said that what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he was in the band Breaking Benjamin, I think. But anyway, something Bennington, I think, Chad Bennington, maybe. But anyways, he is supposedly like the stepson or something of John Podesta. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Wendy. It's a very straining economy. Gas prices are down, but in every other aspect, I feel like the economy is very straining. I mean, you can't hardly afford to buy real food. You can't buy like basic stuff like when your vehicle needs an oil change. You can't go. My Dodge for oil change supplies at O'Reilly's was 100 and let's see, the fuel filter was $65, oil filter was $12. So yeah, it's like $130 or something to do oil, or $150 because I bought an air filter too. It's like $150 something to do air filter, oil, and fuel filter on my Dodge. Wendy, what I would do, this is what I would do. I would honestly, I've been thinking about this. A $400 payment, right? Think about this. I just financed a tractor that was $15,000, or I paid some down, but $15,000. So that payment came out to be, this is what triggered it all in my head. That payment came out to be under $400 a month. And then I was talking to somebody who has a super redundant solar system in their house. And from my research, you could put a really nice solar system on your house for about $30,000. Well, I'm set to pay that tractor off in 4 years. So if you could get extended financing like 7 or 8 years, that would bring, for 7 or 8 years, would bring your payment down to $400. Yeah, that would be a lot. But once you had that paid off, you would be mitigating a lot of the control of the power grid has over you. And with all these data centers coming on, expect electricity to get more expensive, expect it to get more unreliable. But it's like if you're going to pay hundreds of dollars to keep the freaking power on, it's almost worth at that point getting a solar system. Yeah, the data centers are going to screw up the power grid even worse than it already is. I can't go 15 to 20 minutes without my power just flickering for 5 or 6 seconds, and it makes me nauseous every time it does it. Yeah, solar does give off EMF. You don't have to put it on your home, but you could put it on your home. What I kind of want to do anyways, I'd have to re-roof my house to do it, or put metal roofing on or something. But I want to put something that reflects a lot of the cellular signal and stuff off the house. Like, I don't honestly care if I get poor reception in the house. I'll step, if I need my phone, I can step outside and use it. That's where I'm at on it. I really want to turn off Wi-Fi like at night when we're sleeping. I want to get rid of so much of the EMF. So interestingly enough, I'm going to talk about one more thing before I get gas. I'm just a little ahead of my coworker on the way to a job site, but I'm going to talk about one more thing before I get gas and get out of here. But so I made a video about my solar electric fence charger that I built, and I had this YouTube account that had existed for like 3 years and had some really weird and random playlists made. Come on there and say something about some legislation that says that no solar can be installed on agricultural land, and they were telling me that if I didn't reach out about this and stop this legislation, that my solar fence charger was going to be outlawed. And I went to and it was really, really, really structured, like Chat GPT made this, right? Just the way it was worded and bullet pointed and stuff. I was like, that's really weird for a YouTube comment. And then their account was 3 years old. I'll get to that in a minute. But so I went ahead and responded, and I got another almost scripted response. And then as I responded, the responses started to seem more personal, like a real person actually started taking over. But they were arguing with me that was going to make like solar fence chargers illegal. It was going to make solar water wells illegal, and solar on the farm in general. And but I actually traced the legislation. It says solar devices shall not be installed on agricultural land. And then it referenced another piece of legislation that specifically was talking about how industrial solar farms are required to decommission unused farms that are already in existence. So it says solar devices in reference to this piece of as to how solar devices are defined in that other legislation, which has nothing to do with agricultural use. It was defined as a commercial solar device by wind farm producers, basically. And then I told the person they could email me if they wanted to reach out, and they gave this excuse as to why they couldn't email me. But I'll tell you why that 3-year-old account is important. Because I believe it is a farmed account by Alphabet Company. Because who else, or I guess it could be outside of Alphabet Company, it could be just interest in just energy ownership and stuff. But I think it's because the data centers want these solar farms to power them. So I think YouTube, Alphabet Company, attacked me with a bot to spread disinformation about that legislation. I really do think that's what it is. And until that person emails me on my about page and shares with me contact information, so I literally want to talk to them on the phone and be like, no, look, follow this bill. I want to have a legit conversation if they're real. But until they actually reach out to me, I think it's a bot. Yeah, you can put them away from the house. Yeah, you can definitely put the solar panels away from the house, but I think they'd be fine on the house if you have like a metal roof or something like that. I don't know. You'd have to. I'd like to. Maybe if you put like. You could put the reflective material, the radiant barrier that keeps the sun from heating your home up in the summer. Stuff like that, metal roofs. If they block cell phone signals, sometimes you get inside a metal building, you can't get cell phone service. You would think that they'd block the EMF from a solar panel. What the hell? I'm telling you, these people are legit just straight up bots. You say they're trolls, but I literally think that they're just sent in by. See how I started talking about the bots, Alphabet Company. I'm telling you, if you've ever heard of the dead internet theory, it's that like the majority of users on the internet and on social media are fake and fraudulent. And if you've ever seen these videos of these basically server racks, it'd be like hundreds and hundreds, and if not thousands of cell phones all plugged in, so they have unique IPs. So every unique IP, they can make an X account, YouTube account, Facebook account, you name it, Truth Social account. They can make an account in all these things, and AI will just generate like these like American looking, people will have like American flag in the back. They'll be like a handsome looking person, and they'll just say the most, uh, just the most scripted, yeah, America first. Like if there was like a RNC speech or something, and you go look in the comments, and you can pick them out like these look. I mean, they're just like little AI avatars, and they'll, yeah, Trump, rah, 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 rah. It's like whoever pays for the most promotioning or whoever wants the most agenda done gets the most bot accounts assigned to them to generate, like 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 Bad Bunny, for example. Who even knew who Bad Bunny was? So who even knew? Nobody knew who Bad Bunny was. And then all of a sudden he's winning Grammys? Dead internet theory. The reason if they put enough views on him and they pump him in the algorithm enough, and it's just what all the kids hear, that's who's going to be popular. If they control what the general people listen to, they control the narrative. And just like this, they want to discourage. They want me to get so mad. They come in here and they want to discourage me from talking to people. Yeah. Yeah. We talked about that earlier. We also talked about TPUSA. I don't know how familiar with. You'd have to go back and watch the beginning of the live. I couldn't rehash through it all as accurately as I did earlier. So I've got like 50 jobs. Oh, I think it's already 53% online bots, if not more. I don't have any good reason to believe it's not. But anyways, I'm gonna hop off here. When I do a lot of driving, I get in these little thinking modes and just kind of want to share some thoughts. But before you go, if you would, double tap the screen and it will like it. And maybe somebody else like-minded will find it and share some of their thoughts. I like sharing thoughts, and I'm fairly open-minded to thinking about stuff in different perspectives. And I think it's always good to think things through and not get completely dead set on a way of thinking. Even like I believe that Jesus is the Messiah. I believe Yahweh is the Father. I believe that the Messiah is going to return. But there's a lot of stuff within all that theology that I have come to change and renew my way of thinking over the years. So there's like nothing that I won't. I say nothing. There's virtually nothing that I won't entertain the concept of for at least a moment until I, sometimes almost instantly I know exactly why that's flawed thinking. Sometimes it will make me think and go and dig into something. So hopefully some like-minded people find this kind of stuff and share some of their thoughts. And anyways, you guys have a good one.